Hi, Chris here, and I am a little late with this one. This is Samsung's Galaxy Tab S6. Now, if you've seen my channel, you would have seen that I reviewed the S5e, which is also a very good tablet, very similar to this one with the same screen and pretty much the same build, the same speakers as well, but it lacks the S Pen and it doesn't have the performance this model has. So I bought myself here the highest spec version. This is the LTE model with 8 GB of RAM, 256 GB of storage, and this is replacing my iPad Pro, the 12.9 inch, the last gen, 2018 model that I bought to edit videos on the go. I found that it was a bit of a workaround. Trying to get the files off my Sony was just a real pain for me. So I ended up buying this instead because I couldn't really edit video as smooth as I wanted to on the S5e. So this model here is for users that want that extra performance and you want the S Pen. So first up, let's have a look at the build of this tablet. It is like the Tab S5e, it is really good. Slim bezels, super lightweight, so this is only 419 grams. That is really just amazing how light this is. And look at how thin this is as well. This is 5.7 millimeters. So Pogo port connector here for the keyboard dock. Unfortunately, I don't have it. I'm importing one in from the US because I want a US layout and not the local Spanish keyboard. So along here on the left side, you could say, if you're holding it in landscape, we've got two side-firing speakers. These are AKG tuned speakers, and hands down for me, these are the best speakers you'll hear in such a thin tablet. They are really amazing. I'll give you a sample of them later on. And up the top here, we've got a mic, and this here is our buttons. Okay, so these are made out of metal, good feel to them, high quality. SIM tray slot, so this supports a LTE, this version that I have, and micro SD card that supports high speed. So it's ultra high speed reader there because I'm getting reads of over 100 megabytes per second, which is good. It's not limited to USB 2 speeds. And also the stylus you would have seen there. Okay, and I don't particularly like the way they have it magnetically sitting in this recess here, okay? So it charges wirelessly, and the magnet is good on this side, but around here it's a little, I would say, not that strong. So it's very easy to knock the stylus off and have it drop off quite a few times, and even possibly lose it later on. So there are cases that do sort of hold it in place. They're a lot better so you don't knock it out. So you probably want to invest in a case because this is a very fragile tablet as well. Very thin here. The Samsung logo there is in metal, recessed in, and yes, it probably could be very easy to bend this particular tablet. You can see our antenna lines, and if you're one of those guys asking, just like in the Tab 5e review, that no, I'm not having any problems with my wireless range, speeds and receptions. I'll show you that later on. Ultra wide camera here now, which is 5 megapixels. And then we do have a 13 megapixel camera. It takes a very good photo for a tablet. And here we have our Type-C port down the bottom with video out support and another 2 of those AKG tuned speakers. So there are 4 in total. Overall, premium build, very lightweight. So the screen is 10.5 inches. It's the same as the Tab S5e screen. It's a Super AMOLED panel here, a really good screen. So this has a maximum brightness of about 560 nits that I measured. And you've got your typical settings in here for the screen. So you can put the dark mode on, which I'm currently using, or they call it night mode. A blue light filter, adaptive brightness there, of course, and it's one of the better tablets, definitely, that I have used in terms of adaptive brightness, that it seems to get it quite correct there. So if you're in somewhere where it's very dimly lit, it will dim down quite nicely and not be too bright, and then in bright environments, it will pick up and increase that brightness very quickly. It's only milliseconds response time there from it, which is quite good. You can adjust the screen scaling, the font size as well, all those typical kind of options that you're used to. I'll just show you here that the gamma's a little bit out, so this should ideally be about 2.2, but it's really around 2.4, 2.5 here with my current settings. So I've set it to natural, not the vivid colors. Vivid colors to me looks a little bit way oversaturated, but a lot of people like that. Now that banding you can see that's going along here, diagonal banding, that's just on camera, okay? It's something that always happens with my Sony a6400 and OLED or AMOLED panels. They seem to always do that. So I'll just show you some real world images here as well, that this is such a good looking screen. I really do like it. Very, very good. And of course, being AMOLED, your blacks do look very deep, as you can see here. And you get a little bit of reflection, and I'm picking up a few fingerprints here. I didn't clean it on purpose intentionally, so you can just see what the screen is like. Now the material on the red does resist fingerprints quite well. You'll see a few little smudges, but the screen over time does build up quite a bit if I dim it right down. That's the lowest brightness right there, which is very good for late use. So this tablet is running Samsung's One UI. This is Android 9. Hopefully we're going to get Android 10 soon with this. I'm looking forward to that. So the performance of the ROM, because it's got the Snapdragon 855 and my version's got 8 GB of RAM and 256 GB of UFS 3 storage, is very quick. However, sometimes I have noticed that when I do swipe up to bring up all my different apps there, sometimes I see a little tiny micro stutter. It's just in the animations, and it seems to happen when the tablet has been sleeping for a while. So you go to unlock it, more on the face unlocking and fingerprint reader later on, by the way, that it does that. But it's only happened to just a couple of times. But overall, this is the fastest tablet I think that I have used. And of course, it does have a really, really fantastic screen on this and very, very good hardware. So I want to go through just a couple of my typical things here that I like to go over. So first up is our 4G performance. So I've got the LTE version and I'm getting decent speeds. I mean, they're not the greatest, but it is connecting up to 4G plus, and it's really my carrier, Orange, who are pretty slow and terrible here. But wireless performance, very good. So I can push close to around 500 megabits per second out of this tablet. And as mentioned, I'm not having any problems at all getting these kind of speeds. The range does seem very good. Even holding it in landscape, I can't kill the wireless. So there's no like wireless gate issue or anything like that. Not for me, at least. Perhaps people that are using their neighbor's wireless router and they put their hands right over their antennas might have problems. So battery life, this is very important. So it's good. Okay, I wouldn't say it's absolutely amazing. You see I'm getting here 8 hours and 12 minutes of screen on time. I was using the video editing app called KineMaster quite a bit as well, and that is very demanding what I was doing, so it wasn't exactly light workloads. But if you're watching just video content, expect around 10 hours of screen on time in total, and perhaps even over. Here we've got just battery stats here from GSAM Battery Monitor. That's when it was around the close to 8 hour mark, and this is over a day here, so good performance. Now this right here is something that is very handy. It's called their Smart View, and this is basically like Mirror Vision, the same kind of thing. Chromecast or casting, you can share the screen with your TV, whatever. And I've been doing this with a Samsung 7 Series TV, and it's working really well. It looks like it's 1080p quality, and the latency is very good as well. Not quite perfect for gaming, but you can share the screen, and I was surprised with the quality and performance is a lot better than, say, the Intel powered tech I've been using in doing that. So internal storage is UFS 3 and very good speeds here. So sequential reads of almost 1500, writes up over 500, and when you look at the random reads and writes, they are very fast and quick. So there's no bottlenecks at all with the system. And this is Widevine level 1 support, so that means you're going to get Netflix in full HD. YouTube, the highest resolution you can select is 1440p, and it does work out well. Amazon Prime Video I also have with this. GPS, so we've got Compass on here as well. Compass support, so this will be an ideal tablet, especially with the bright screen that fares very well in sunlight for navigation. For those of you out there, perhaps you're a boatie. And here is our Antutu scores. So very high for a tablet. This is the highest I have ever seen on a tablet. So really good performance. And then just a few other things as well. Camera 2 API support is level 3. This is the maximum hardware support level with the rear camera. This is great. So this means in theory we could use Google Camera if you want better low light photography, low light shots. And free available storage, so you get 224 gigabytes on this maximum spec'd out version. So that's plenty to install games. And of course, micro SD card support there, and it does run at full speeds. I'm getting around 100 megabytes per second transfers out of my SD card, which is really good. And this is the bloatware you get installed, is just all Google's apps here. You get a few apps from Samsung, but they have toned things down with One UI. It's getting a little bit better here. So there's not a huge amount of bloat. It's just extra apps there from Google. Well, you could say OneDrive is a bloatware application there as well. And Netflix that comes pre-installed. This model also has an in-screen fingerprint reader that does work, but it's not exactly the fastest, as you can see here. It is accurate, however, and the face unlocking, well, that's really quick and works 10 out of 10 times for me. Moving on to audio now. So sadly, there is no 3.5mm headphone jack, and to me, this is the biggest con on such a nice tablet. But we do have really, really good speakers. I mean, these AKG speakers on there, 4 of them in such a thin tablet, sound to me absolutely amazing. And you can play them to other people that have never heard them. And a lot of people don't expect to hear the sound that comes out of them, and they get a real surprise and a shock. It's like those tiny little Bluetooth speakers when they first came out, say those JBL ones, and they actually put out some bass and people went, what the hell? It's the same kind of effect there. So voice calls on this are possible as well. I wanted to point that out too, that we can make calls, but it will be in speakerphone by default. You can get text messages and all that because it's got the LTE support and then the phone dialer there. But use a Bluetooth headset, of course, so you can then get your calls with privacy at least. But it's good that we've got that option. I just really wish that we had that 3.5mm headphone jack on here. So here's a sample of Terminator 2, and you'll just hear how amazing these speakers sound. They've got good volume, some bass, good trebles, good mids, and they don't distort, even at 100% volume.
Get down.
So here's a quick example of what you can expect from the front-facing camera in terms of video quality. 1080p maximum, it is very good quality for a tablet, and you can shoot 4K on the rear. Now the audio you're listening to right now is being recorded on the tablet. Again, excellent, and it can take decent photos as well on the ultra-wide. Well, not so great on the ultra-wide, I feel, but the main camera is quite good for a tablet again.
So I'm not a big stylus user myself, but it is very handy for taking notes. And if you're an artist out there, this is a good stylus, a great one. It's got a rubber tip on here, interchangeable, and of course it's wireless charged. Good size. Now it is detected by this tablet a good 1.5 centimeters, almost 2 away from the screen here, that you can see hopefully that coming through, which is really good. So this aids with our palm rejection. I'm going to show you the handwriting recognition, just a very short example right here. So I'm just going to quickly write hello and then world, and you'll see that'll pull through very quick, and I find it is very accurate and handy. But let's have a look now just with some sketches of how this stylus performs. So this is Adobe Sketch here. Now if you're using the stylus, this will pop up as well. You've got this air command that you can also run and bring this, and this is a short menu so you can create a note. It also lets you know on your battery life. Now the stylus battery will last for quite a few hours, so you're going to be fine. So you just put that on the back to wirelessly charge it whenever you need it. So we'll get out of that. I'll just bring up and start a new page right here. HD landscape, that'll be enough. And just to show you very quickly the pressure sensitivity and how the stylus is and performs. So lightly pressing here, you can see that's a thin line, but see there's a little bit of a lag there, depending on how fast I move. But overall it's not too bad. I've just noticed the lag more in Adobe Sketch here. And it does work right up into the corners, the stylus as well. So if you happen to be an artist, something that I am not, you'll find that this actually is not a bad stylus to use. The rubber tip on the end does feel very good. And that's just your lighter movements. And the harder I press, of course, you'll see that that nib comes through thicker. So the pressure sensitivity definitely does work well. And I'm sorry I'm not an artist to show you any more of some sketches that I've done for hours on end. But this is just to give you a basic idea that for me, this is a very good stylus, at least in the Android ecosystem. I think the Apple Pencil is a bit better though, however. So this is a fantastic tablet for media consumption, and we'll take a very quick look at performance here. So this is Chrome, and you can see that scrolling is very smooth, and I'll just load up one of my pages on my website. Pops in very quick here, as you can see. So I don't have any problems with the wireless range performance. And we'll just go over and take a look here too at an ebook. If you're into your ebooks and things, then it is good for this. You can see the text looks fine. You do have that night mode. You've got your reading mode as well. And then the built-in modes that you've also got with the application here with Google Books. So I'll get out of this. We'll just take a look very quickly at a PDF file as well. I've got this one here. And I've noticed that sometimes it can be a little bit slow when you skip ahead quite quickly. You see that loading in, how it does take a little bit of time. It's not as fast as an iPad Pro, but this screen, of course, is really good for this, and it does look great. Now, if you don't plan to game, you don't need an S Pen, and your tasks that you'll be doing on a tablet are just ebooks and surfing and videos and Netflix, then I recommend getting the Tab S5e because it is cheaper and it has the same amazing screen, the slim build, and the really, really good speakers on it as well. So this currently has the fastest GPU in an Android tablet, so gaming performance is the best you'll get in a tablet. And of course with those amazing speakers and the screen, the gaming experience is very immersive. So here's some gameplay footage, Call of Duty on the absolute maximum settings. So as expected, the performance in-game is very good. The frame rate, this is on the highest frame rate setting, so 60 frames per second most of the time. I have, however, noticed that sometimes, for example, when you're in vehicles, that it looks a little bit laggy when looking around. Oh, I got someone shooting at me. And it's easy enough to get kills. I find the larger screen isn't actually uncomfortable to play for hours on end, and I quite like having the big screen. Just seems to make things a little bit easier than, for example, a smaller mobile screen. But performance is great. All of the top Android games out there can be played on the highest visual settings with a very good frame rate. Alright, so that's my review there of the Samsung Tab S6. Fantastic hardware they've got here. It's really thin and light, just like the Tab S5e that I reviewed, but for users that want the stylus. So it has very good palm rejection, really good performance. The hover feature works a very good distance away from the screen itself, and that really does aid the fact with when you're writing and doing things. For artists out there, people that need to sketch, and this is great. You've got that addition now of the ultra wide camera on the back, and it's got very decent cameras on here, good audio, and really the performance, blazing fast. That UFS 3 storage is great. So this is, for me, and it is, you cannot deny it, this is the best Android tablet that there is. It's the fastest as well, it has the best screen, and those AKG speakers are truly amazing for the size of this. I happen to believe, owning the iPad Pro, I don't have it anymore because I sold it to actually buy this, but I think these speakers are slightly better than the iPad Pro's 4 speakers that it also has. So that's really good there. Now Apple's Pencil is also very good, so it really depends on what you're after. I think the Pencil and the S Pen, they're both very similar in terms of what they can do. It's really down to personal preference if you want to use, okay, iPad OS or you want Android. Now one thing about the stylus that does kind of annoy me, it does really bother me a little bit, is, okay, it magnetically clips on the back as I showed you, and that's all fine, but so many times you'd pick it up and, oops, I've knocked the stylus off. And I know you've got the case that fits it in there a little bit better, and I don't have the keyboard yet either for it. But why couldn't Samsung put this pen somehow into the tablet itself? Would have been perfect. Just like the Note series. If you could just click in, pull it out, I think that would be a lot better. I mean, it's great that they include it in the box and you get it, and it's wirelessly charging itself. You don't have to bother about having to replace batteries in it. But if they even made the bezels a slightly larger, I don't think a lot of people would have minded about that, as long as this stylus was within the design. So hopefully with the Tab S7, if we ever see it, if they continue on with tablets, hopefully they will, they do that, they incorporate a stylus. The other big con, of course, is the obvious one. There's no 3.5mm headphone jack, which would have been great. Now I'm moving over to Bluetooth audio, so for a lot of people that's not going to be a problem, but for those audio junkies out there that want the best quality with, of course, wired headphones, then you're out of luck, sadly, with this one. So great that we've got the expandable storage there. The performance, as you saw from synthetic benchmarks and just in general use, you've got Samsung DeX. It really is Android's best tablet out there. And if you're after the best and you want gaming performance as well, you want to edit, say, videos like me, 4K videos, and you need that stylus, get this one. However, if you're someone that doesn't game, you don't need the stylus, then get the Tab S5e, I would say. Save yourself a bit of money, and you've got a tablet that still performs quite well. It's got the same exact screen, pretty much the same build as well, super thin like this one here, but you don't have the ultra wide camera. And really, I think for most people, for general media consumption, that the Tab S5e is perfectly fine for most people. So, end of the day, fantastic tablet. Now, I'll be keeping this one. I really do like it. I'll be taking this with me to Mobile World Congress. That's my plan. So I just remove the micro SD card that's in an SD card adapter within my Sony a6400, slot it straight into this, and I can do some very basic quick edits and code super quick. So 1 minute of footage will take around about 43 seconds and upload that to YouTube. And that's all I want for basic editing. And it's just in such a nice little premium package here. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you back in the channel. Bye for now.